Oh, we've been live for 5 minutes.
No, we've been live for like 35 seconds, but that was just the intro. I want to say what's up to everybody watching the show. Welcome to the Gauntlet, part of the Sideline Sports Network. I'm with Jay and Detroit Dom tonight. We got some exciting stuff to talk about on the show. I want to start off the show with one question, though, for all three of you guys, or all three of us guys. If you could pick like one game from your team's history other than like a big game or like a playoff game or something that's like really, really known, games that aren't like really talked about that much, what's the game that stands out the most for your team? Like you just really remember watching this game and it stands out.
Oh, I would say 2000 and it's crazy because I watched it off and on because I was at work at the time, but undoubtedly and incidentally it was one of our worst seasons. We ended 2-14, but Monday Night Football opening week, the doubleheader. James, you may remember the first game was actually Eagles at Redskins. Well, the following game was Texans at Chargers, and Texans scored 24 unanswered points to win the game. And
Wait, what year was it?
2013.
2013.
And so, and one play that I remember distinctly was Brian Cushing's pick six that tied the game.
Oh, bro, I remember that game. Yeah.
Yeah, he made this sick. Like, he dropped back in coverage, and Phil Rivers didn't see him, and he makes this diving interception, and he runs it back for the score, and it stunned the San Diego crowd.
Listen, that point of time, that was when J.J. Watt was, like, unstoppable, J.J. Watt. So, I'm saying, like, J.J. Watt is so unfortunate because if he was playing with C.J. Stroud as his quarterback, the Texans would have been, like, a serious team. Like, they're still good. They're still good now, but I'm saying, like, if you had J.J. Watt on this team, bro, with the other guy they drafted from Alabama.
Will Anderson, yeah. Oh, shoot.
Will Anderson and J.J. Watt, bro, that would be crazy. But, yeah, I remember the Texans back then. But, Dom, what's your answer? What's one of the Lions games?
It was Thanksgiving of, God, how many years ago was
that? Is it when they beat the Eagles' ass on Thanksgiving?
No, that is a good nominee, though, because that was actually the first year of my family.
That was Chip Kelly's last season, I think.
Yeah, that I do remember that game well because that was the first year of our Thanksgiving tradition of going to the buffet for dinner instead of my mom cooking. But no, the one I remember even more than that, although no, I can't remember the year. It might have been like the year before that. So like 20, oh God, I can't even remember. We played the Bears, and it was the only Thanksgiving game I've been to other than Barry's last season. But I had a poster board sign, and it said, "Tonight we dine on Cutler," and we absolutely beat the piss out of the Bears. It was like 35-10, and my ex-fiance almost got in a fist fight with some Bears fans. She was talking smack, crazy, and they were not having it, so she grabbed one of their bags of popcorn. I'm talking full bag, and it was not a small bag, and just dumped it on this bitch, and it was fucking hilarious. I had to hold her back. Some fat dude from Chicago had to hold his girlfriend back. It was a good time.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a crazy... Okay, so...
And nobody went to jail? That's crazy.
I escorted... I pretty much snatched her up like full Nelson style and was like, walk. And don't stop walking until there's no steps in front of you. That was
Ladies and gentlemen,
one of the last home games I went to.
Sideline Sports does not condone the actions of Dom DeRubeis. So don't blame us. Don't blame us for anything that happens.
Do as I say, not as I do. If I can't be a shining example, let me be your cautionary tale.
I'm just putting the message out there. It's not on us.
Rules for thee, not for me.
Man, there's a lot of Eagles games that comes to mind. But for some reason, the one I'm thinking about is against Dom's team. Because it was in the snow in 2013.
Oh!
When LaShawn McCoy was just like
crazy that game.
He went crazy in that game, bro. Like, and I just remember him hurdling over dudes in the snow and like scoring a long ass touchdown. So, yeah, it's definitely that game for me.
Yeah, me and my buddies had a Manuary that game. So, like, either before the game or after the game, we went outside and played snow football. It was a blast.
I know one. This probably ranks low in like Eagles history, but it's just funny. I'm gonna bring it up. But It was a Monday Night Football game again. Eagles Redskins, and the Redskins were jaw-jacking before the game. There was almost fights between them and the Eagles. And then opening play, Vic goes deep to DJ for 6, and it was like
you know what they call the name of that game?
Huh?
Monday Night Massacre. That's what it's known as in the Eagles, because Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson went crazy in that game.
I think they hung 40 plus in the first half, but that opening touchdown,
they put 59
in the first half. I was like, dude, man, you knew what time it was with that touchdown. I was like, this is about to be a blowout.
Have you met Deshaun Jackson's bastard son? His name is Jameson Williams. He's having quite a season.
Yep. Jameson Williams. I actually just picked him up on my team because I traded him to I traded him to Jay that has AJ Brown, and I get a first-round pick next year. My season isn't going the way I wanted it to. I'm 0-4, but I'm probably looking good because I had what's his name from Atlanta last night, Drake London.
Dude, last week.
I should have won last week, man.
I was like, man, come on, James. We got to do it, man. We got to rip the gun.
You know what would be crazy, though? What if I, ran the table, though, and I finished with, only 4 losses?
It'd be like me and you in the championship or something. and we had the, I don't know, what was your
That'd be crazy. But you really needed a receiver because you lost Rice. So
yeah.
I really think we both benefited from this deal. But ladies and gentlemen, speaking about performances, we talked about Drake London last night. He had a big game in Kirk Cousins' game-winning drive in overtime to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as JJ joins the show. What's up, JJ?
What's up? So, full disclosure, my cousin is still here. He's getting ready to leave, so you might see me dip in and dip out.
Okay, you're good, bro. I just want to give you an introduction real quick. We're just now starting with Gauntlet Grinder.
Oh, is it my... Okay. Are you asking me what my grinders are?
All right, I think he just froze up.
Can you hear me?
Time for the Gauntlet Grinders. We'll discuss what was the top performances from last week. Dom, who you going to put up for this week?
NFC, it's kind of a layup. I'm going with the now applicable Mr. Perfect, Jared Goff, 18 of 18. 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, throwing and 1 receiving on the Philly special. That was, man, I got chills when I saw that play starting to unfold. And as soon as I saw it go to Amon-Ra, I was like, oh, please be throwing that to Jared Goff. And I'm like, oh, he's open. Oh, he caught it. But the funny thing is, and you guys probably know about this, Jared Goff has been referred to as Mr. Perfect on Pro Football Reference for 2 years. I have no idea why. I don't think anyone would have referred to him as such prior to them, but as soon as that game ended, I was like, oh, that nickname finally applies. Football Reference is crazy with the nicknames. Basketball Reference is even worse. You go look at Shaq or LeBron James. I mean, both of them have tons and tons of nicknames, but there's a dozen more for each where you'd be like, I've never heard anyone call him that ever. And then AFC, I've got Bengals running back Chase Brown, 15 carries, 80 yards, 2 TDs. He's been used kind of sparingly this year. He's only got just barely over a full game's worth of carries, maybe 35 carries. But he's averaging 6.5 a pop. So the Bengals are probably toast, but between him and Zach Moss, they've got a nice little running back tandem.
Absolutely.
All right, man. I really don't want to pick a Gauntlet Grinder that was grinding against my team. But, dog, I'm sorry. I got to give it to Baker Mayfield. He was shredding the Eagles' defense. 347 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He still had a pretty good game again last night against the Falcons. That was a good game, but the Falcons barely won in overtime. Baker is looking good this season. So, I hate to have to give it to a guy that was cooking against my team, but... man, that's it, man. You gotta take, as a fan, you gotta just take the blows. You gotta take the blows. But I still think it's early enough that the Eagles can still figure out stuff and get better. So I hope
you don't gotta worry about Dallas.
I hope they are better. I hope they are better than after the bye week. AFC. I really don't want to take JJ's pick, but listen, bro. How can it be anybody but Derrick Henry after that performance?
Exactly.
destroyed the Buffalo Bills, which I was like, the Ravens are not going to win this game. No way they're going to win this game.
Are y'all
Came
asking?
out-
Can y'all hear me now? Am I free?
Yeah. So, JJ, you came in at the tail end, but I was just giving Derrick Henry Gauntlet Grinder. And
I'm about to say, how is he not the Gauntlet Grinder?
how is he not? How it could be anybody but him, I don't know. But yeah, I really did not think the Ravens were going to win that game. I thought the Bills were really on a mission and trying to say we're the best team in the AFC. And after that performance, you can't really say that because Ravens dominated the game. So Derrick Henry gets it, and Baker Mayfield for me.
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
I already knew we were going to beat Buffalo. I'm not even going to lie to you. I didn't know we could beat them that bad. But when I saw the first run, I was like, yeah, we about to rock these dudes. Because again, when I looked at my squad could have won both of the games that they lost. So it's not as if the team was struggling to get to that point. They were already a team that was doing well. And both teams, we were one toe away, and then both Oakland had to come back from like 16 points down. So when we got to this Buffalo squad, and when I sat there, I was like, it's a night game. We're wearing all black. Lamar in prime time. I think we got this. And then when Derrick Henry, the Gauntlet Grinder for me, off the 87-yard run, I knew what's up. And then what Derrick Henry said afterwards, he said, this is why I came here. The culture, the standard, we just go to work, offensive line, you guys were getting killed, but y'all kept working. He's like, that's why I came here. And so that let me know that's why my grinder, because again, people are mad that he didn't get 200 yards, but I promise you this may not be the only chance he has a chance to get 200 yards this year.
We've definitely seen him get it before.
And JJ, before you continue, I just want to add that no one is really talking about how fast Derrick Henry has adapted to that offense, because what was the biggest criticism that we heard? Derrick Henry is not going to get as many yards because he belongs in an offense where the quarterback is down under center and handing him off the ball. He's not going to get as much production from the shotgun or the pistol. Dude, it's like nothing changed.
Because again, I don't care what. Okay, to your point on that, and I'm going to get to my grinder because I know everybody's going. As long as you have Lamar Jackson, the running back's going to thrive. As long as you have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback back there, with that threat of him, any running back is going to thrive. Any running back is going to be plugged in and do some type of damage. The only thing that's different now with this team from the first 2 weeks is that offensive line is together now. That offensive line is figuring it out. But I digress because we've been talking about them. It goes without saying. My team is now.
Just one last thing about Derrick Henry, something to keep an eye on. He is 118 yards away from 10,000 career rushing yards. Just wanted to put that out there. So maybe he gets it in the next game.
He might. He's even exceeding what I thought he was going to be, because I read up before we're going to treat him like Gus Edwards. But he's even becoming more than what I thought. I will say he's making my prediction of his season right, because my friends laughed at me when I said he has a chance to get 18 total touchdowns, and he has, I think, 8 now or 7. He's doing well, but we're doing this, and our guy Keaton Mitchell isn't back yet. I cannot wait till he gets back so we have that 3-headed monster of Keaton, Justice, Derrick. But on the NFC side, I have to give it to Kirk Cousins. For the simple fact that that's last week. I'm tripping.
Last week or this week? Are you talking about last night or last week?
Okay, it can't be last night. It has to be last week.
You're right. So last week it was going to go to I have to give it to Sam Darnold. Even though they had slipped up at the end, he looked good. He looked very good. He grinded. He made a couple mistakes, but he rebounded. And the biggest thing that you notice about guys, because you know if they've grown or not, is if they recover from a mistake. In the past, if he would have made a mistake, you would have heard him say he was seeing ghosts. He's not doing that anymore. He kept grinding, he kept doing, and he found his receivers. Shout out to Justin Jefferson for that one-handed catch that probably shouldn't have been a touchdown. But the way it was placed was from Sam Darnold. So he's my grinder right there, because he is the reason why there's a reason why he's the favorite for comeback player of the year coming in, and why he's the number 1 favorite now.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Facts. So Jay, who is your gauntlet grinders for last week?
So my AFC Gauntlet grinder, I got to give it to my quarterback, CJ Stroud. 27 of 40, 345 yards, 2 touchdown passes. 110.9 passer rating, led a game-winning drive and threw a go-ahead touchdown with 18 seconds left in the fourth. And the biggest thing that stood out about this game is C.J. Stroud overcame his own freaking offensive line, who tried their best to lose the game, but the Jags handed it right back. Stroud said, "Screw it, we're gonna go win it." 12 penalties, 93 yards. Every time I looked up, it was a flag. Hopefully, D'Amico Ryans got in that O-line's ass and is like, "Listen, number 17 for the Bills is coming to town this Sunday, and we can't be having none of that noise." But Stroud, good on him for overcoming all odds, including his own team in the one game. My NFC grinder is going to be K9 himself, Kenneth Walker III. In a loss versus Detroit, but 12 carries, 80 yards, and 3 touchdowns is nothing to sneeze at 6.7 yards per carry. Now, had he been kept getting fed the rock, would he have topped 100? Yes, but Gino was finding himself having to throw. After all, he did throw for almost 400 yards. No one talks about on 56 attempts at that. It really was a shootout out there in Detroit. But Kenneth Walker III, he kept them in the game. You figure they scored 29 points and Kenneth Walker scores your touchdowns, or 3 of them touchdowns, then he helped keep them in the game. So shout out to K9 on that one.
I feel you, man. So I think this concludes us for the Gauntlet Grinders. When we get back, guys, you know what time it is. It's time for the Sports Morons of the Week. So we got to get something off our chest, man. Now's the time to do it. All right, guys, you know what time it is. It's time for us to look at the dumbest people, the dumbest things, the dumbest takes that we've seen. It could be from something you've seen in the media, something you've seen posting, somebody's take, talking to your friends at the bar or whatever. Somebody just said some retarded shit about sports. This is the Sports Moron of the Week. Who wants to start us off?
I'll go real fast. I can't say I've seen the tweet from any reputable source. It's like a fake Adam Schefter tweet. It's some clowns called NFC North News. But all these fools saying that the Lions are close to completing a deal for both Davante Adams and Max Crosby. No. And no. First of all,
bro, this is not Madden.
Let me start with Davante Adams. Don't need him. Don't want him.
You guys would be better with him.
Can't really afford him. Oh, sure. Would we be better? Absolutely. Would our cap number
straight
be
up
better?
Straight up trade. I want to ask you this question. The Raiders get St. Brown, you get Adams.
Absolutely not.
Why?
Amon-Ra St. Brown's like 25. Davante Adams is like 31, 32. I wouldn't say he's necessarily in the twilight of his career, but it's not the Davante Adams that he was. And, anyone...
I think he's still top 5.
Borderline. He might still be top 5. Anyone and their brother should have known, could have known, would have known, did know that going to the Raiders was not a good idea for him. And then, surprise, surprise, 2.5 years later, he wants out. Any of y'all watched that the receiver show with Davante Adams? That dude, he was fed up last year with that team. And now Derek Carr's gone. Yeah, we can't afford to add that number to our cap. I can't imagine that our GM would be willing to part with the draft capital to get him, and we don't really need him. And then Max Crosby, I would love for that to happen, but again, can't part with the draft capital. Our GM, great at drafting, decent at signing free agents, but he holds on to those draft picks like grim death. I've never seen that man trade anything more than like a 6th or 7th rounder for a player. He'll make moves and swing up and down in the draft, but he is known for not parting with draft capital to make trades. He doesn't even like signing big free agent contracts. So as much as I would love Max Crosby, it's not happening.
He's a beast. Okay, fair enough. That's Dom's Sports Moron of the Week. Anybody else got one? Jay or JJ?
I didn't have one.
Oh, I will say this. It kind of goes back to earlier the Brian stuff. The analysts, it's the call out I have is the analysts who are sitting here have said, I'm glad the Ravens finally figured out how to use Derek. No. We signed him. We know what you need to do to use that guy. And I'll say it again. The offensive line got together. That's what you see. It's not that the Ravens don't know how to use nobody. He chose to come here. And I think you can look at this team and realize that you don't need to question whether they know how to use somebody or not. Because we know how to bring guys out and their strengths. Because if that's not the case, why is Patrick McQueen getting killed in Pittsburgh but was great over here? Why is Geno Stone getting killed in Cincinnati but he was great over here? So when a player comes to this squad, to this team knows what they need to do. They know how to figure it out. And for you guys, for people to sit here and say you finally figured it out, no. It wasn't that we didn't figure it out. It's the offensive line. Don't worry about this team over here in terms of how they need to figure something out or what they need to do or whatever. We know what we need to do.
I think you guys have been using him properly since week one. I mean, he leads the fucking league in rushing yards.
Bingo. We always were using him, but if you look at the first 2 games and watch the offensive line, look at the last 2 games, watch the offensive line. There's your answer.
Your O-line play has definitely picked up a lot the last 2 weeks.
There's your answer. So at the end of the day, people, I'm calling you out because when it comes to this team, there's only one thing that should be asked is, how far can they go? It's not whether do they need to get this, do they need to do this. This team knows exactly what they need to do. They've proven it year after year since Lamar has been in this league. I don't think I've seen Lamar lose more than 6 games in a season since he's been in the league. This team knows how to do this stuff. So when you say Derrick Henry came over here, and I said, Derek said it, that's why I came here. Because
you're saying your new unofficial slogan for the Ravens is "Don't worry about us."
My unofficial slogan is, I guess you could say that because everybody has an opinion about my team. Everybody has an opinion. If
you know what they say,
my necklace or my neck chain, hey, y'all need to do this. Hey, y'all should do this. And I'm like, worry about your team.
You know what they say? Winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners.
Exactly. And again, I'm not worried about my quarterback because when the way he handled Marlon Humphrey on the IG Live let me know he's where I need him to be. And that's what everybody just leave us alone. We're okay here. We're good here. All we're focusing on is just like Dom said, the next game and building and building.
No more commentary from Jay. You don't usually have a response when people have sports morons, bro. You seem quiet tonight.
JJ pretty much said everything as far as the Ravens. I mean, just like I said, I said it. What was it? It was either on Picked Off or a Gauntlet a couple of weeks back. But JJ, y'all heard me say it. You don't want that team in Baltimore to get it together and start running. Now we're talking about a team that should be 4-0 for all intents and purposes. But coulda, woulda, shoulda. Time moves on. This didn't have to take until week 7 or week 8 or is the Ravens gonna make the postseason? No, they got it together quick.
What's the name? Sorry to cut you off because I have a friend that wants to watch the show. What's the channel that it's going to be on? Philly Sports Media?
Gauntlet Sports Media, or actually James Tatum, which is me.
So just James.
Sideline Sports, YouTube. James Tatum, YouTube, and then Gauntlet Sports Media is on Facebook.
So Sideline Sports, all one word on Instagram? I mean, on YouTube?
No, it's Sideline Space Sports.
Sideline Sports.
So you guys can tune in on all 3 of those. Wherever you guys are watching, appreciate you guys for watching the show. I will have to give my sports moron as well, which involves my team as well, but in a different way than what JJ is talking about. Listen, it's not time to give up on the season. So to all the Eagles fans that's like going to the ledge, get off the ledge. We are not trashed yet. All right, we still got time that we can fix the team. But whatever happens when they come out from the bye week is really going to tell us the truth. And we continue to have all the same problems.
Who do you guys play next week?
Even when the Cleveland Browns at home.
Oh, you're good.
A.J. Brown and Davante Smith and all these players that have been out. Yes. And I'm bringing this comment up from Grizz as well. This is the point that we need to make from the first 4 games. Yes, Jalen Hurts has been turning the ball over. Jalen Hurts needs to play way better. This is not the Jalen Hurts that we know. The Jalen Hurts that we know is the guy that took us to the Super Bowl. The Jalen Hurts that we know is the guy that led this team and played at an extremely high level. This is a guy that was playing better than Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And just throwing bombs out there and using his legs making plays. Something's not looking right with him. And I don't really know if he trusts the coach. And I don't know, based off the way last season ended and how this season has started, everyone would be warranted to say that Nick Sirianni should not be trusted with this team. Think what's the talent on this team. So you add Saquon Barkley to a team that was already in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. This is not acceptable to come out in these games and have this team just looking completely unprepared. They look like they had no idea what they were doing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they got down 24-0 so fast. I haven't seen that in a long time. I haven't seen that
at the end of last season.
I haven't seen that probably since Chip Kelly was here.
Forget about the last 5 games of last year and the playoffs.
But it was different. It was a collapse at the end of the season. I'm talking about first quarter, the game's just over, pretty much. I'm talking about I haven't seen that in a long time. I've seen a lot of bad performances, but that one was different. That one was okay. There's definitely a serious problem that has to be addressed. So, this is it. If Nick Sirianni fails with this team, there's no excuses for this team because you look at the talents on this roster. This is one of the best rosters that we have in the NFL, and you're looking like a joke out there. Having this team with this talent and just being so completely oblivious and unprepared, that is just not acceptable. And that's it.
Yeah, he's taking a lot of heat. Sirianni's taking a lot.
He deserves it.
But there is something to be said, though, when AJ's not there to when AJ is there.
Yeah, I was going to say, go look at the splits and the offensive points per game. When you don't have A.J. Brown, it's 15 points a game y'all average.
It's what for me, I'm watching the games, and I notice when he is in trouble and AJ's not out there, that's when the mistakes happen. Because you watch his face, it's like he's always looking to see if he's there. And then when he is in trouble, when AJ's around, as soon as he finds him, he throws it.
He knows AJ's going to make a play.
So I do think that there is something to notice about him when he's not there. I do. I think the person that really can help him is Saquon, because I think he is the most consistent person on that offense.
Yeah, I was going to say no team is the same when their star receiver is out, but it's not like you have no one else. You have Davante Smith. You have Saquon. You have Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
It's honestly Hurts has just got to play a little bit better, and Sirianni has got to coach a little bit better.
Yeah.
A lot better.
So from the outside perspective, before we move on to the next topic, I just want to ask you guys, yes or no, do you guys think that the Eagles are going to figure out this season? Or do you think that it's going down the drain?
I think it'll iron itself out once division play starts. They typically find a way to figure it out. Now, I know you got the Commanders. I still think the Eagles can still get it together and win the division.
Okay.
Sometimes teams have slow starts. It is what it is, But that's not saying the season is dead. Just put it on them. I mean, the Ravens just did it. They turned it around real quick in 2 weeks. Eagles can do the same thing.
Go ahead, John. Sorry.
Yeah. No, the season's far from over. We're not even a quarter of the way into the season with the 17-game schedule now. Washington, like I've said since the preseason, is a threat. And you never know with Dallas. They'll probably hang around at least for several more weeks. So I don't think it's going to be a walkover by any means. But yeah, the Eagles are way too talented to just fall apart now.
I do think there's understandability for cause for concern because I think it could be smoothened out, but I don't think it's going to be smoothened out to the way that people are expecting when you say smoothing out. Because I'm also factoring in this is not just something that just came out of nowhere. This team had the same struggle on offense when last year. And what I keep hearing now every day is that AJ Brown and attitude. I keep hearing those two words together with him, and I don't know.
AJ hasn't been on the field since week 1, though.
True, but what I'm saying is, I think there's more to that story than what is being broadcasted because of what happened last year, and then how the ended season, and then how coming in. I think he's hurt, but I think that there is some things that need to be smoothened out with him. And I would not be surprised if what happened to Tennessee could happen to Philly because it seems like the same thing is happening again because Titans fans are even sitting here saying, yep, I've seen this. Yep, I kind of understand what's going on here in regards to him. So that is the only concern that will stop me from saying this is going to be smoothed out entirely. Is the team great? Yes. Is the roster phenomenal? Yes. Is Jalen a good quarterback? Yes. But there is a little bit of tension could turn into a virus. A little bit of uncomfortability could turn into a virus. And if it turns into a virus, it's hard to stop that virus. And that's what I need to figure out with the whole A.J. Brown dynamic situation.
I don't think A.J. is that upset. I just think,
there was rumors last year right along the same lines about how he was, discontented, pissed off, not getting enough targets, and he squashed all that. He came back the next week and had a phenomenal
if that was
he had a streak of 7 games after those complaints of having the most targets and becoming the only person that Jalen looks for after those complaints.
They did sign A.J. Brown this offseason to another extension, though.
Yep.
So if they were going to consider getting rid of him, I don't think that would have happened.
I mean,
that's the only reason I say that.
I'm about to say, at the end of the day, Cleveland's trying to find a way to get out Deshaun Watson. So if a team wants to find a way, they might hire their lawyers to relook that language and find a way.
Yeah, but AJ has performed much better for us than what Deshaun has for Cleveland.
Agreed, but I'm also thinking about if you could find a way through a contract. If you find a contract, there's a way. But I don't think it's.
I don't think it's to that point. I will say that.
I will say that you guys. I will say the division's wide open.
Sure.
It's really wide open.
You know what, man? It's something we'll have to monitor through the season, but really interested to get your guys' takes about that. So thanks for joining in the conversation.
I'll let y'all know because I think in the next 2 weeks after this week, we play them and y'all. I think
we play you guys later this season. I can't remember when we play, but I think it's actually in December when we play the Ravens. It's at the Ravens, so that will be a very big game between Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. But guys, when we get back, Davante Adams trade request and the best landing spots for Davante. We're going to have that debate when we get back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Gauntlet, part of the Sideline Sports Network. We're talking everything about the NFL and have our own fun with it, man. So really good debates on the last segment with Sports Morning of the Week. But time for another debate. Davante Adams has finally broken his silence, stating that he doesn't want to be a part of the Raiders anymore. He wants to be traded. Adam Schefter saying it is down to 2 teams that he really wants to play with, which is the New Orleans Saints and the New York Jets, highlighting his history with both quarterbacks that he both played with. What do you guys think about these destinations? We can start with that, And if not one of these two, is there another team that's not really being talked about that's in the mix, but you can also see him going there? Jay, I want to start with you. What is your answer to the question?
I would rather. I mean, either way he goes. If it was Saints and Jets, he'd be good. Me personally, I would rather the Saints, because even though if he goes to the Jets, he'd be reunited with his old quarterback. How many years does Aaron Rodgers really have left? I think Derek Carr actually has more years ahead of him than Aaron Rodgers does. Also, realistically, the Raiders, because it's general practice that you try not to trade within the conference, and you damn sure don't trade within the division. Now, have we seen trades within the conference before? Sure, if the deal is enticing enough. Well, but they would much rather deal him to the Saints than the Jets, because it's the same conference. But with the Saints, Davante might be the missing piece. Who knows? You know, I know they have.
He could also be that for the Jets.
He could be, and I know the Saints have. They have Shaheed. They got Chris Olave there. They hadn't had a real superstar receiver like that since Michael Thomas, and we know he flamed out once he got his money. Davante, I think.
Was Dom the person that used to call Michael Thomas Slant Boy?
Correct.
Yes, that was Slant Boy.
That's pretty disrespectful, but yeah.
That was Slant Boy. But I'll end it by saying this. Me personally, I'd rather see him go to the Saints, reunite him with his best friend. The Raiders did him dirty by bringing him in and then trading his best friend away after a year. And I know football is not about, personal shit and all of that. Okay, I get it, all right? But if I'm going to the bare bones about this, Rodgers probably has 2 years left. Carr probably has more than that. And also, you don't want to trade them within the same conference. In conclusion, I say New Orleans.
Okay. Honestly, I'm not mad at that response. JJ or Dom? The question was, obviously the Saints and the Jets were listed as the teams that are his top teams that he wants to go to. Do you see him as a better fit there, or is there another team that's not in the mix that you want to mention for Davante Adams?
You want to go, JJ, or you want me to go?
I was going to go after you, man.
Okay. Honestly, I'm going C, other. I'm not saying that the Saints nor the Jets are a bad fit, but it's like, okay, the Saints. Obviously, I understand the connection that Davante has with the Saints and the Jets, both former quarterbacks of Davante Adams. But the Saints already have Chris Olave. They already have Shaheed. I don't think, their offense has proven to be more than capable of putting up a ton of points without Davante Adams. Jets, kind of the same thing, although I'm hearing now that any sort of trade might involve Garrett Wilson, because honestly, you've already got Garrett Wilson, you've got Aaron Rodgers' boy, Alan Lazard, and, for one out of every 3 games that Mike Williams is healthy, I don't think the Jets need him either. I'm thinking more like the other teams that are apparently on the outside looking in. Apparently Dallas has been officially crossed off the list, although they could use him. However, their problem is running the ball, not passing it. They're 32nd. That's dead last, sports fans. That's dead last in the league in rushing yards. I'm thinking more like the Bills or the Steelers. Those are 2 names that I had heard.
Those are 2 good ones, too.
The Steelers would like to make that move. I don't know.
The only thing I will say is that I don't think the Jets are going to trade Garrett Wilson. I think that if they want Davante, their plan is going to have a team where they keep Wilson as their second wide receiver, and then Adams will be the number 1.
I would think that too, but it's like, as long as.
And I also think the Jets would be willing to give a first-round pick for Davante Adams.
Right, and maybe their backup running back. That guy's pretty sweet, too. Braylon Allen.
Yep.
Right? I don't know. We'll see. I don't. I can tell you one thing, like I said during Sports Moron. He's not coming to the Lions.
But I definitely like both of those answers. The Bills and the Steelers also good destinations. But JJ, you wanted to chime in. What do you think?
So I'll be honest with you, James. I actually think so. Part of what also bothered Davante was not that Derek Carr was just traded, they don't have a winning culture. They don't have that drive to be great. So when he wants to win, that's why I can see the Jets, because he's not trying to be there for the Aaron Rodgers the rest of his career. He wants a chance to win now with a person and a culture that is focused on the same thing. So that's why the Jets, in my opinion, make a lot of sense. He's not trying to be, he knows Aaron Rodgers at 41 or so, or 40 years old. He's also getting up in age. For him, it's about winning. I want to win. I don't like losing. So that's why I think the Jets are the good fit. The Saints are a decent fit, and as well, because at the end of the day, they can make it work.
Good point, Grizz.
They can make it
too.
work. Now, Washington, I'm glad it's interesting you said that, because I think it's just the buzz of everything that's going on here. I will say, and I love the potential of this kid, but like I did with my own quarterback, and like I did with any other quarterback that's great, this is a great start, but anything can happen. RG3 had a great start. Andrew, a couple people had a great start, and it just doesn't go. Does he look good? Yes. If they do that, then maybe. I will say this in terms of what Dom says, because my team has been thrown around about here, apparently. And I will say this, and I have to make one thing clear. The Ravens never called about him. The reason why we are in the mix is because he has always said he enjoyed watching Lamar. And then he had to post Edgar Allan Poe today, and he had to post an Edgar Allan Poe quote, because
he just started following Lamar Jackson on Twitter too.
And that's all I'm seeing on my Facebook from Ravens fans. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, until you guys need to, if we get him, great. Am I thinking we're getting them? I don't think so. Do I think we need them? No, I don't think so, because I think this team is pretty talented on its own. It's just making sure they stay focused all the time. But again, I remember the Namdi sweepstakes. We were second to Philly, and there was a huge consensus saying
I wish y'all would have won that one.
No, but here's the thing. Actually, no, not y'all were number. The Jets and us were the total top two teams that were supposed to get them, and then Philly came and snagged them and went through their whole free agent signings. So I have seen.
We should let y'all have them.
I've seen, maybe, but you guys didn't play him in the right position. But I will say, in terms of this, because I've seen that, I get it. He's doing this. He's doing all this great stuff. He's doing everything like this. But it doesn't. Maybe you think this, but what's going to happen is, this is how my fan base does. Maybe this is for everybody's fan base. Let's say we get them. They're going to talk so much trash. They're going to talk so much trash to the league, talking about we did. I've seen it now. If we get them, it's over. It's over. But if we lose this year, everybody going to be sitting there now mad at the world and stuff. It's like, number one, this ain't Madden. This ain't Madden. This is a real situation. And at the end of the day, one thing my GM is known for is numbers. If the numbers don't fit, I don't care how much you want the guy, how much he's great, he can't do it. If he can't do it, he can't do it. And so the numbers aren't fitting right now, because Davante wants an extension, or I think he's owed $32 million or something. There's money that has to be paid to this guy every time.
Yep,
and
sure.
That's why it doesn't make sense on the Lions, the cap number.
Bingo. Me and Dom, our teams are good. Our teams are set. Our teams are good. Dom, you can agree. Our teams have everything we need. There's nothing that we really need.
We definitely need a pass rusher to address Chris's comment, if Davante Adams ends up on the Chiefs, I quit. I will become a Saskatchewan Rough Riders fan.
It makes sense too, because two guys that they were expecting to have heavy contribution.
Based off what I'm hearing, though, JJ, you're more leaning towards the Jets being the best destination for him.
I do. I'm leaning towards them. So I think if he does that, they're in win now mode. That's what he wants to be in.
Aaron Rodgers doesn't care about. I haven't heard that man say Super Bowl since he became a Jet. The only thing I've heard is, I think I can win an MVP.
He can win a Super Bowl with the Jets. There's an opportunity.
It's the Jets.
If I were the Jets, I would be trying to go all in. I wouldn't care about giving up a first-round pick. I wouldn't care. I would give it up, and I would get Davante Adams on this team and put him with Garrett Wilson.
All that the
and put him with Garrett Wilson and put him with Breece Hall
is
and
like
Aaron
a
Rodgers,
and something else.
and they
Might not
have a
even cost
chance.
anyone a first-round pick.
And they have a chance as well with that defense. They also have a good defense.
A great defense.
They got Sauce Gardner, who's one of the best in the game. They got an elite defense, and they got a defensive coach. So I have no concerns about the defense. The offense, you got to have more power. If you're trying to win the AFC is not going to be easy to win. You got to have the most power. And this is a move that will give them more explosive power with a quarterback that's one of the best of all time. So the Jets probably not going to have another chance like this to go compete for a Super Bowl after Aaron Rodgers is gone. Like, they're going to be rebuilding for a while, you know? And the Jets also, if you look at their history, this franchise is not really a franchise that has these type of opportunities.
Right. Yeah.
So
I'm not too sure what JJ was saying about winning
you
culture.
gotta do it now. You gotta capitalize now, because the Jets were in the AFC Championship. That seems like such a long time ago when they had Rex Ryan, Mark Sanchez. They actually were in the AFC Championship.
That was like a decade ago almost.
They pretty much haven't even been in the playoffs since then, from what I know. So
you know what? For a first
this
rounder,
opportunity that the Jets have, I think they cannot afford to pass it up. Give up what you got to give up to get Davante Adams and get him in the building. Jets are my destination.
especially if you want to throw in like a first rounder, because the Raiders, they have no long-term QB1, no quarterback of the future. Minshew is taking snaps. Nothing against Minshew. I think he's the best backup in the league, really. But at the same time, you got that boy coming out.
Mania.
Yeah.
No faith in Aiden O'Connell. That man's got a spectacular mustache. So
would you take him on the Lions? Would you take Aiden O'Connell on the Lions?
As a backup, absolutely.
Next year in the draft. Next year in the draft, you got the kid from Texas coming out, Quinn Ewers. You got some others coming out. You can use that pick. So for a first rounder, you know what? I think straight up for a first rounder, if I was the Jets, I'd do it. Straight up for a first rounder.
Yeah, it might not even cost that, but a first rounder would certainly secure him.
Yeah. They keep the players just straight up for a first rounder. I'm not mad at that.
Piping fucking hot, dude.
If that's what we gotta get,
Scott Peach and
if that's what you gotta get to get Davante Adams, give up a first rounder. Give it up.
Fine and powder, but
Send it in.
worth it.
Send it in. That's what I'm saying, man. All right, does that wrap us up for sports talk? Are we ready for the non-sports talk?
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Get fucking trippy.
I
Ladies
thought
and gentlemen.
hard about this one.
it is time to talk about classic video games, which I didn't really define what's the criteria. So you guys can put your own criteria, whatever you think.
I would say classic is anything from like PlayStation 1 and back. So like PlayStation.
I can't get down with that, bro.
Whoa,
Because
say
so far
dude.
ahead, like, there's a lot of classic games from the PS2, bro.
Yeah.
Don't sleep.
Go on back.
Don't sleep, bro.
Okay, okay.
GTA,
I was gonna say
Hold
two,
on,
but
hold
then
on,
I was
bro.
thinking
GTA San Andreas has to be in this conversation. Or Vice City. Like, those were the two games on the PS2. That was it. That was it for GTA. Like, I love GTA 5. I love all these other games. But for me, that was it, bro. Like, I just remember being in school and I'll be in the computer lab, like, getting the cheat codes and using the school paper, and I got in trouble because I was using the school paper to get cheats.
Yeah.
That's how real it was, man. So
it was.
I love GTA, man, and the all-time meme of the dude where he's like, "Oh shit, here we go again." Like,
Yeah.
that shit is never gonna die. Shout out to CJ, bro. So that's it.
On the context of GTA, to your point, now if you're going to acknowledge GTA of Vice City and San Andreas, you have to give it up to GTA 3 because it literally revolutionized open world games. Literally, any game that's open world right now, it started with GTA 3. GTA 3 was the turning point in the series. With 3, it never looked back. Vice City, amazing. San Andreas, amazing. Me personally, I think the best one in the series is 4. But no, I'm not mad at those at all. As far as the GTAs, but my top 3 of all time classics. First of all, I got to go with Street Fighter 2. Revolutionized fighting games everywhere. At one point in time, and probably still is the best-selling fighting game of all time. The original 8-12 World Warriors. Well, the sequel to the original, I guess you could say. But I mean, you know, when you look at the cultural impact that Ken and Ryu did, because James on Smash Brothers, I know Ryu's on there. Is Ken on there?
I don't know. I was never a Street Fighter guy. I was never a big fan of the one-on-one fighting games.
Listen, man, I also love fighting games too. So another one of mine would be Super Smash Bros. Melee. There's just something about that was on the GameCube, by the way. There's just some like having all these characters from all these games, and you can fight each other and you can fight your friends. I just think there's really like an appeal with that for me personally. So that's why I gotta put it up there. But it doesn't hit the same like without the GameCube controller. That's why on the Switch you can get a controller that looks like a GameCube controller, and I always use that to play Super Smash Bros. Just because it gives me the nostalgia.
No, GameCube controller.
There's 4 goddamn systems made by Nintendo before that game even came out.
Yeah,
the game is over 20-something years old. How can you say something that's not classic if it's over 20-something years old, bro?
We're getting there.
It's over.
Okay.
Okay. My second of all time is Tecmo Super Bowl NES. The original Tecmo Bowl, of course, is a cult classic. But also, who's it? Budokai 1 and 2. Yeah.
Yes, sir. He knows.
Tecmo Super Bowl was the first to feature every team in the NFL, and I had played the original Tecmo Bowl, and I was like, man, this would be sweet if it had my orders on it, and then it did it. And for sure, it was an amazing game. Now you could jump, now you could dive, now you had the Pro Bowl. Like, it was the closest to the real thing for its time period. Tecmo Super Bowl was ahead of its time. And the third one, yeah, I'm gonna say it, Def Jam Fight for NY. You got every freaking rapper in the industry duking it out. How could you not enjoy that? Def Jam Fight for NY, one of the best fighting games ever, and my third favorite game of all time. All right, y'all.
Okay. So, first, shout out to my boy, Terrell. He's watching. I haven't had a chance to get on here. Terrell, he's a Commanders fan, but he don't really pay attention to sports like that.
That poor man.
But shout out to him on that. That's happy. 3 video games. Oh my gosh, I feel like we do this topic a lot, but it's always great to talk about. It's I'm definitely going to go Madden 02.
Ooh,
because Madden 02 was literally like one of the best memories I ever had playing PlayStation 2 in my entire life. Because I loved it. It was the first time go from PlayStation to PlayStation 2. It looks real. And then LT was one of my favorite guys, so I ran with the Chargers with Rodney Harrison, and back when they had Freddie Jones as tight end, Curtis Conway as the wide receiver, when he was dating Kelly Rowland. So much history comes with that Madden 02 that I love. Obviously, and I'm just putting them all together as one. If you know me, this should not come as a surprise.
Right.
Mortal Kombat is definitely on my list for every. MK1, 2, Shaolin Monks Trilogy, Deception, Armageddon, Deadly Alliance, 9X, 11, New Era, and the Chaos Reigns. You name it, I love it because literally, it's iconic. I don't care what I remember watching them debut this racist one, and Megan Fox said, because we did play this game, all played this game as growing up, and it's one of the greatest games ever invented. It is one of the greatest games ever invented because the outfits are awesome, their moves are great, the fatalities is on point, the stage use is on point where you can throw people, the whoopsies, all of that is iconic. That is true. And then last but not least, I'm going to go Super Smash Brothers from N64. Super Smash Brothers for me because, or honestly, all of them. Super Smash Brothers is amazing. My favorite thing the baseball bat. I used to love hitting home runs with the baseball bat. And honestly, that game is when I think about that, I literally remember being 13. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm pretty sure you knew this. But I really wasn't sick that one day you let me stay home. I just wanted to play the game at home all that day. And you let me go home. I wasn't really sick. I wanted to play that game because I stayed up longer than I should have and I was tired. So I ain't gonna lie, I made up that I was sick. And
he just exposed himself, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, I'm grown now. I could do that. You see this? Yes, I definitely was there. And I think you knew it because you knew your children. But thank you because as soon as you went to go to job, let's go. I was playing the game. And an underrated honorable mention is GoldenEye. I love GoldenEye. And I love, I just remember doing all of the missions, playing against each other, and then when they started bringing, you could use the tank and the helicopter. Man, we used to go all night. I used to be a sniper where I would find a helicopter where you can't find me and just nuke you all over. Just nuke it all over. And literally, and remember that snow one? I just remember seeing, and all the people, you see the actually look on the game, but the Odd Job, Littlefinger, Svetlana, all of them, everyone, and it 007 is an honorable mention for me too.
Sweet. Who's yours, Dom?
See, when I go last, my list gets longer. I got 5 of them now. I couldn't come up with 3 originally, but since JJ said 2002, NBA Live 02 for sure, because I was unbeatable on that game. I could play with any team and beat you with whatever team you took. It didn't matter. I would run with the Grizzlies, the Clip Show, the Nuggets. Didn't matter. I'm sure live tournaments were a thing back then, but I was not plugged in back then like I should have been because I was unbeatable. People didn't even want to play that game anymore. Also, GTA 3, me and about 5 or 6 friends beat that game collaboratively with someone playing around the clock in 6 days. But no, the real list, let's see. We'll start with one game that I'm pretty sure only me and Jay were alive to play when it came out. Jay, you might not even been because you were a couple years younger than me. Nintendo Double Dragon.
Of course!
Yeah!
I had one and 2.
I didn't beat that game until I was 19 years old. That game came out in 1986.
Yeah.
Could not beat that motherfucker till I was 19. I was like, oh, you just go diagonally up and down the screen so you don't get
what was it
shot
on
by
the NES?
machine gun.
Yeah, the
NES.
OG NES, yep.
NES. Genesis, NBA Jam Tournament Edition, for
Ooh,
sure.
I had the SNES version, but go ahead.
I still have the cheat code book. That shit was a hardcover book with all the cheats. You get all the mascots, Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yep.
And then Super Nintendo Mario Kart. That's to me that's as good or better.
That's a nice lineup, bro.
As good or better than N64 Mario Kart.
So let me ask you this, Dom, since you brought him up. Who would you say is the fastest driver on that Mario Kart? Toad or Yoshi?
Toad.
Bro, y'all sleep on Donkey Kong.
I'm pretty sure.
Don't sleep.
I'm pretty sure Toad, because it was the way they were lined up on the screen, they had the same attributes. Mario and someone were the same.
Mario was a real rounder, but now Princess Peach was pretty fast too.
Right. I feel like the best combination of speed and maneuverability was Koopa Troopa. And that was the only, until you get way later down the road, that was the only game, Koopa Troopa was not on N64 Mario Kart. But that was my guy on SNES. I didn't even have SNES. I remember
the best part
was Christmas Vacation of 1997. And I was sick as fuck for the whole vacation. And my boy felt so bad for me. He dropped off his Super Nintendo and the Mario Kart cartridge so I could play that shit while I was on my deathbed or death couch, as it were.
The best part of your 64 is that you definitely knew all the cheats to get ahead of everybody. You had to be careful because if you did mess it up, you would start back to square one. There was one there you were going through, I think the deserts or the canyon. You could cut through the train track and get to the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Peach's Castle, I think you could cut through the train.
You could jump off the ledge on Rainbow Road and skip over like 2/3 of the track.
Yeah, as long as you land on the other one. As long as you land on, it's like that little loop-de-loop. As long as you land on the other side of the rainbow, you're good.
Yep.
Bowser's Castle was the hard one for me a little bit, but then I figured it out.
Yeah, guys. So definitely a lot of good choices, man.
I got a
be
question
honest.
for you guys, and I just want to know, before we do, have we all watched Rick and Morty?
No.
Yeah, I have.
I've heard about it.
Obsessed with it.
Okay, so then I'll leave it with just Jay here, since you guys aren't really then. I saw who would win, Reed Richards or Rick Sanchez. And a little all feats, they know everything about each other, and it's on a random at Earth. Who is winning, Reed Richards or Rick Sanchez?
Rick Sanchez.
I was saying the same thing.
You gotta go,
because
Rick. Peace amongst worlds.
essentially, we don't even know who's Rick's real form.
Do you think these characters would have real beef though?
Yeah,
Oh,
Rick
actually,
does not like.
Yeah.
Rick does not like anybody who thinks he's smarter than him. And Reed Richards is one of the most intelligent people in the universe. They would have beef for sure.
You know what? As far as intelligence, Reed Richards surpasses Banner, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's supposed to be arguably the smartest man.
Smartest one in the universe.
world.
Yeah, he surpasses Bruce Banner.
So, like, and then, but the thing about Rick is literally in his mind, no one is smarter than him in anything, like whatsoever. If he's never done it, well, duh, because they didn't ask me to do it. If they didn't ask me to do it, it would have been done right. Like, he is so egotistical, and like we said, if you watch the show, you don't really know who's the real original Rick. You don't know, because who I thought was turned out not to be. He been killed, came back to life. He got everything. He's always prepared.
Always prepared, man.
Yeah.
And we hope you guys are prepared for another great episode of the Gauntlet next week. I want to appreciate appreciate all the viewership tonight and the participation by everybody on the team, on the panel. So we will see you guys again next Friday for another episode. Until then.
See y'all.